Now these oils can be considered top to middle notes because some oils fall into more than one category. They may have more than one note within them, and that's simply due to the components contained within. The first oil here is basil oil. It's got a herbal fragrance, as you would expect, very fragrant, but it's actually quite subtle. This is good for actually clarity of mind. If you want to really make your thinking clearer, you can add this to a blend. It's also good for muscle aches. Also good for clearing any respiratory system ailments, so maybe you've got a cold or you're recovering from a flu. And it's also good for headaches, aiding digestion. If you're feeling quite stressed, it's good for those blends. The caution with basil oil is to avoid during pregnancy, and it can cause sensitization, so use with caution. And to show you the colour and thickness of this oil, it's a very clear oil and it runs quite smoothly. Bergamot here, it's a really nice oil. It's subtle, it's got a hint of citrus but also a woody tone to it, but it's very fresh. Bergamot's an immunity booster. It's also another oil that's great for calming and soothing any anxiety disorders, and it's another one that's good for respiratory ailments, so flus, coughs, colds. If you're getting over these, bergamot's great in the mix. This one is phototoxic, so be careful if anyone's out in sunshine and ask them to avoid sunbeds. And you can see this is a much more yellow toned oil, and it's on the thicker side, but it's still moving quite freely. Next oil is Clary Sage. It's got a very strong, very fresh scent. This is good for anyone that suffers from menstrual cramps, so this can be good in your mix for that. That would also tie in with muscular aches, also with migraines, and it can be in a blend to aid blood pressure regulation, but you must proceed with caution. If your client's on any medication, anything like this, then speak to them and ask about GP approval first. With Clary Sage, you must avoid in pregnancy. Avoid it with alcohol because excess can actually make you drowsy. But another interesting thing about Clary Sage is that in excessive use it can cause nightmares. So if you are using it too frequently in blends for clients, it's not necessarily the client that might have an effect, it could be you as the therapist if you're putting it in too many blends. So if you find that it is affecting your sleep, then as a therapist you might choose to limit when you put Clary Sage into the blends. But overall, just to check the colour, and you can see that this is a clearer oil, but again it's quite a thin oil, it moves quite freely. The next oil is lavender, which is such a popular oil. I think most people have either tried lavender or lavender's been contained within something that they've bought. It can also be contained within pillows, drawer liners, you name it. Lavender is a very popular essential oil. So it's quite floral, quite light. It can also be a divisive oil. Some people really don't like lavender, so obviously if they don't put it in the blend. But it's a soothing oil, good for a lot of skin conditions. It can also be used just to soothe wounds as they're healing. It's a good sleep aid, which most of you will probably know because it is contained in so many different sleep aids that you can buy. It's also calming, and it's another one that's good in a blend designed for headaches. The only thing with lavender is to just avoid in early pregnancy. Just be cautious with that. And again, to take a look at the colour, we can see that it's got a very light pale yellow colour, and again it moves nice and easily. And our last example of a top to middle note is lemongrass. So this is a lemon scented, quite citrusy and fresh oil, and you may recognise the name from some of your cookery. It aids digestive issues. It's also good for tension and for headaches, and just like the other citrusy oils, it's very good for oily skin conditions. If anyone's fatigued, it can be quite nice, again because of the citrusy scent, but the caution with this one is that it can cause skin sensitisation in high doses, so just be very aware. And to check the colour of our lemongrass oil, and you can see that some do come out quicker than others from your dropper. It's quite a yellowish oil, but again we have to be aware if we are mixing ourselves. You can see how quickly some of these oils come out, so you would always proceed with caution when you're mixing, and if you did only need 2 or 3 drops of something, you can see why you need to have attention to detail. So we're only putting them out here just for the benefits of you seeing, but that's another reason why it's best not to mix your own oils unless you are clinically trained.